Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 157, a week one rewind, and it is my great pleasure to welcome into the bar Mr. Bernie, aka Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing tonight, Bernie?
I am doing great after week one's contest.
All right, guys. We have a jam-packed episode for you once again. We're going to start off today with some news and notes. We'll recap week number 1 in the Wingman Fantasy Football League, check on the updated standings. We're going to take a gander at that Goose-o-meter. Strap in, boys and girls. We have the first Mike Rant of the 2025 season. We'll take a glance at some waiver wire targets, and by the time you hear this, it'll be free agent targets. And we'll also play a little game we like to call Please Hold or Time to Go. And we'll let you know the current standings and the high score for the Wingman Jam. And we have a new segment for you guys. We're going to preview the Thursday night game where the Washington Commanders take on the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. But before we do any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, the theme for week 1 is this. Low scores all the way around the fantasy community, including wide receiver 1 duds and wide receiver shoulder injuries. How did you experience week 1 in terms of low scores and shoulder injuries for our wide receivers?
Well, I have an injury, but it was in his lower body, and I had a couple of low scores that were starters that should not have been that low.
All right, guys, let's get right into it. We've got a lot of player news to get into. Let's check in on some player news. All right, starting off, this one came just through the wire here. Christian Watson has signed a 1-year contract extension to stay with the Packers through the 2026 season. We've got Tank Bigsby, was traded just shortly after the Sunday game for Jacksonville on early Monday morning, traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a pair of draft picks. We have Will Shipley has a fractured rib, and his availability is has not yet been stated, which is why we think maybe Tank Bigsby was on the move. And George Kittle has been placed on the IR due to a hamstring injury and will miss at least the next 4 weeks. Let's stop with these guys right here. Watson staying in Green Bay for an extra year. Tank Bigsby on the move to help out with the injured Will Shipley, and George Kittle, my number 1 tight end and your favorite player as well, is dealing with a hamstring injury, is going to miss 4 weeks.
I think the wide receiver rooms in San Francisco and in Green Bay are just getting shaken up. One is fizzing over and one is fizzing out.
Yep, moving along, staying in San Francisco, we've got Juwan Jennings dealing with one of those shoulder injuries for a wide receiver. It had his MRI. It came back clean, so there's no structural damage, but he is considered day-to-day, and at this point, we're not sure of his week 2 availability. We'll check back on that later in the week. Another wide receiver shoulder injury, Drake London out of Atlanta, is also listed as day-to-day. He suffered his shoulder injury late in that comeback attempt against the Tampa Bay Bucks, and at this point, it's too early in the week to know his availability, but he's listed as day-to-day as well. Brock Purdy, San Francisco is just a triage unit here. They have Brock Purdy is dealing with multiple injuries, including a shoulder and even more severely a toe injury, making his week 2 availability up in the air. And Jaden Daniels popped up on the injury report with a wrist issue, but it said that he's all systems go. No worry about him missing any time for the Thursday night game. What do you have on these players here? Juwan Jennings, Drake London, Brock Purdy, and Jaden Daniels all dealing with various injuries.
Yeah, it looks like that shoulder bug is really going from one player to the next here. I think a lot of this is week 1 conditioning over the preseason, and hopefully these guys get better soon. I'm not too worried about anybody there, long-term wise.
All right. Yeah. All these look to be shorter term injuries, but they still are going to be questionable heading into this week. Jaden Daniels, I think he just popped on the injury report because they have a short week and they're giving these guys time off, and you can't give them time off without saying they're hurt or sick or something. So there were several Washington Commanders and Green Bay Packers who missed practice this week with injuries that I don't think are really anything to be concerned about. Staying in San Francisco, a lot of news on the West Coast Bay. Jake Moody was waived by the 49ers, and they brought in Eddie Pinheiro to take on the kicking duties going forward. Darnell Mooney, who missed last week's game for Atlanta, he's also dealing with a shoulder injury, and he's still listed as day-to-day. I'm thinking that was the one-week absence, but we'll just check on, we'll keep our eyes open on that. Kenneth Walker, there was some just reporting a little more on his playing time. He played approximately 40% of the snaps in week 1, while Zach Charbonnet got nearly 60% of the offensive snaps. The coaches said they just went with the flow of the game and who was providing what they needed. I don't like that. And Jaden Reed is still limited participant on Tuesday's practice ahead of the Green Bay Packers Thursday night game against Commanders. He'll be managing this foot injury for the foreseeable future, but he appeared to make it through week 1 without any setbacks. All right, we got Jake Moody waived in San Francisco. Darnell Mooney hoping to get back. Kenneth Walker, is he the backup, the handcuff to Zach Charbonnet? And Jaden Reed is going to be managing this injury all year long.
Yeah, the Seattle backfield is a mess right now for figuring out who's going to start. But I got them both on my team, so I'm not too worried about it.
You almost want one to shake out instead of having this 50-50 split they have going on right now.
Exactly.
All right, moving along here, we have Xavier Worthy has been diagnosed with a dislocated shoulder, and at the moment they're not really talking about any treatment or how much time he might be out. There is definitely going to need surgery at some point. I think they're going to attempt to try and manage the pain throughout the year and wear some kind of harness. But at this point, there's not much clarity on his availability. I think he can either play this week or miss 3 weeks. I don't know yet. Kinshawn Judkins will resume practice with the team on Wednesday, and there is a chance he could suit up for week 2. I expect him to join that 53-man roster no later than week 3. Austin Eckler was limited in practice on Tuesday with a shoulder injury, but again, I'm treating these as veterans' days of rest for the short week against Green Bay on Thursday. And the Atlanta Falcons have signed a second kicker, John Parker Romo, to their practice squad to compete with young Shui Koo. All right, what we got? Worthy, Judkins, Eckler, the Falcons kicking room.
Yeah, Worthy wouldn't be the first receiver to play with a brace on his shoulder, and still be productive. So monitor that and not give up on him yet. Falcons, yeah, they're gonna need to get Koo fire under him or something. So that should be good right there. But like you said, Washington just resting these players.
Yep, that's what I think as well. All right, guys, before we can look forward, we must look back, and we're going to travel back in time in the Week 1 Rewind.
Let's go back.
Week 1 Rewind.
All right, guys, we're going to do things a little different this time since we have an extra couple managers in our league. There's a lot of games to go through, so we're going to just pick our featured games. We will give you all the scores. Starting off with Katie's King George up against Michael's Amazing Spidey, and Katie's King George took this one 98.52 to 77.83. Michael's Amazing Spidey was the lowest score of the week. We've got Jeff's Always Right, Never Wrong came in today in week 1 at 96.62, defeating Q-Bert's Rage at 82.17. Ben's Brilliant Team had 92.47 points, defeating Nick's Waddle Away.
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away.
And that score was 92.47 for Ben's Brilliant Team to 85.66 to Nick's Waddle Away. And then we have Brian's Under 40 up against Alex's They Took Our Jobs, our defending champ. And this one was close going into the last game on Sunday, or not going into the Yeah, Monday night game. I don't know why I wrote Sunday. Monday night game. They each had 2 players, both on the Bears side. We had Swift versus Odunze. Odunze did outperform here, but Swift gave just enough to get under 40, the victory at 87.14 to 84.58. Is there anything that catches your attention on those games there? We can, they don't have to be. I'm just curious if anything caught your attention on these 4 games.
No, just that the returning champ is getting beat by the rookie.
Yep, very good. All right. Now we're getting to our 3 featured games for week number 1. These guys had some interesting things going on here. We had our first game is Jimerson's Red Sox Nation up against Reggie's Lions, trying to avoid his 5th straight year starting off on a losing streak. Could he do it? No, he could not. Jimerson's Red Sox Nation defeats Reggie's Lions 105.81 to 81.72. This was the biggest blowout of the week at a 24-point differential.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Lions did have a chance. He just had to survive a monster game from Josh Allen. And as we all know, that did not happen. Josh Allen was the highest scoring fantasy player of all players in week number 1. All right, which players helped Red Sox Nation take this one down? Starting off with the aforementioned Josh Allen at 38.76 points. Cam Little, the sky has fallen, 16.6 points, and Saquon Barkley had 16.4 points. Red Sox Nation did have a dud in his lineup as Cooper Kupp had only 2.5 points, but he had some monsters left on his bench that could have given him an even higher score. Aaron Rodgers at 25.76, Michael Pittman at 17 points, Hollywood Brown at 14.9, and the Chicago defense settled in with a pick 6 getting 10 points. It wasn't all bad news for Reggie's Lions. He had a top performer of Justin Fields at 29.52 points. And Harrison Butker chipped in with 12.1. He had started out the week pretty bad, though. On Friday night, he had Xavier Worthy leave the game early at getting 0.0 points, earning him the Goose. Some bench players that could have made a difference here. We have a couple of young receivers, including Emeka Abuka at 21.6 points, and Keon Coleman catching everything off ricochets and otherwise at 21.2 points. There were no major injuries for Red Sox Nation. However, Reggie's Lions is dealing with that Xavier Worthy injury, and he is now listed as day-to-day, but he might miss time going forward.
Uh-oh.
All right, what do you have on this game as Red Sox Nation had the biggest blowout of the week, and Reggie's Lions cannot get a win in week 1?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered it there. Egbuka is the one silver lining for Reggie going on here. So that's a good thing. But bottom line is Josh Allen won that game for Red Sox Nation.
Indeed, indeed. All right, moving along to our newly named Corey's May Daddy Twos up against Andrew's Crazy Fish. These guys met in the playoffs last year where Crazy Fish sent May Daddy's packing, but not this time. Corey's Mac Daddy Twos took this one down 81.98 to 79.47. This was our closest game of the week at just over 2.5 points, and this battle came down to Sunday night. With May down by 2 points, he had James Cook up against Tyler Loop, and James Cook dominated this one, helping on the comeback to take this one down. And Crazy Fish picked the wrong streaming defense. He drafted Arizona in what was a plus matchup against New Orleans, but if he would have played those LA Rams against the, who'd they play? That was in Tennessee, was it? No, shoot, I forgot who they played. Houston. LA Rams against Houston. He would have won as the Rams outscored Arizona by 3.75 points, which would have been enough to take this one down. All right, which players helped May Daddy 2 start off in the win column? Brock Purdy at 20.78 points, and James Cook did his best to help out here at 18.7. Although May Daddy 2s did have a bunch of duds, including Calvin Risky at only 4.7 points, Jamison Williams at 4.6, and number 1 overall pick, Jamar Chase at 3.6 points. Some bench players who could have helped: Dylan Sampson had a nice day at 13.3, and the kicker Chad Ryland had 11.2 points. There was an injury for May Daddy 2s. Brock Purdy, we mentioned it in the rundown here, has a toe and shoulder injury listed as day-to-day, although the reports coming out are pretty pessimistic as they're looking like Mac Jones might make the start for San Francisco in week 2.
Uh-oh.
Now moving on to Crazy Fish's players here. Chuba Hubbard keeps doing it, even in garbage time, as he got a late touchdown in one of the worst offensive games of the week. Chuba Hubbard had 16.4 points. And the rookie kicker out of Baltimore, Tyler Loop, Bernie doesn't even know who this is, had 14.1 points. A very strong day. Almost kept pace with James Cook, but it wasn't quite enough. He lost his game here, though, really on Thursday night as Dak Prescott, his quarterback, had a huge stinker at 7.82 on the dud list, and the Arizona defense could only get 1.25 points. Really, Crazy Fish played his nearly optimal lineup as even his other quarterback got under 7.5 points. So no one really could have helped him here. It was going to be a close game no matter what, except for that defense. He did have an injury, however, as Drake London has that shoulder injury, and at the moment, he's listed as day-to-day.
Oh, no.
All right, what do you have on this game? Our closest game of the week, May Daddy Twos takes this one down over Crazy Fish.
Yeah, May Daddy Hughes got the better performance from his studs. But Dak Prescott, Jamar Chase, look for them next week to have bounce back games. And both of these teams need a little bit more consistent wide receiver production.
All right, our last of our 3 featured games is involves Bernie's Team B here.
Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
Up against Ken's the Fantastics, who was projected to go 14-0, was atop of our power rankings, and we had an upset.
Average Joe's wins in a shocking upset.
I feel shocked.
Bernie's Team B was down going into the Monday night game with 2 players left, Caleb Williams and DJ Moore. He was down by 13 going in, and Caleb Williams showed out, and Moore did just enough as he ended up winning this one by over 20 points. And Bernie's Team B, you were the high score of the week. Ken's Fantastics, however, at 86.68 was the highest scoring loser.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
All right, what players helped out Bernie's Team B? Zay Flowers was blooming on Sunday night with 24.6 points. Caleb Williams, and a little bit of a uneven performance, but finished off nicely in terms of fantasy at 24.2. And Chris Boswell, kickers at 15.6 points. His only dud was Amon-Ra St. Brown, his first-round pick at 6.5 points. No one on his bench could have helped, and he did have one of the probably the worst injuries in terms of time frame, as George Kittle has now been placed on the IR with a hamstring and going to miss a minimum of 4 weeks.
Uh-oh.
As for the Fantastics, he got off to a good start on Thursday night with Jalen Hurts getting 24.28 points, and the first kicker drafted off the board, Brandon Aubrey, did his part with 11.4. He did have some duds, however, as Devontae Smith at 3.1 points, and the Baltimore defense could only get 1. Some strong players on the bench, Geno Smith at 19.48 points, and J.K. Dobbie. Excuse me, Mr. Potter, I'd like to run the touchdown, please. J.K. Dobbins had 13.5 points. All right, Bernie, this was a big upset. You had the most points in the league this week. What do you have on this game?
Yeah, I mean, came down to not playing Jared Goff and what's that guy's name? Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
So what can I say? I'm just looking forward to getting more points next week when Amon-Ra gets off his butt.
So I just want to say you're welcome for giving you the start of the week of Caleb Johnson. That's the only one I got right, but it helped you out quite a bit.
Yeah, Caleb did a good job. But what I saw in that game, I don't know if I'm going to start him next week.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys. With week 1 in the books, we have undefeated teams and some winless teams, half and half, as a matter of fact. That's just how math works. Let's check in on the standings after week 1. Bernie, why don't you run us down through the standings here, if you don't mind?
All right, what do we have here? Standing. I can't read that.
I can do it. That's fine. So in last place, so we've got this show has.
I got it, Mikey. I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So in last place, what do we have? Amazing Spidey. His Spidey senses must be broken.
Uh-oh.
All right, then we got Crazy Fish. He's only got 4 moves so far, so that's probably why he's in 13th place. Lion Eyes, he got his loss as usual. First game loss there. Then at 11, we've got Cubert's Rage. Another surprising loss, in my opinion. And at number 10, the returning champ has a loss. And at number 9, Waddle Away. He waddled away from a win for sure. Probably because he had too many Dolphins on his team. And number 8, Fantastics. Definitely losing with a name like the Fantastics. Wrong season, change the name. All right, and now the winners. Number 7, Mac Daddy 2. Number 6, we have I'll Take the Under 40. And in number 5, we have Ben's Brilliant Team. And number 4, Always Right, Never Wrong. And number 3, King George. And just with a point difference, Red Sox Nation at number 2 and Team B at number 1.
Congratulations, Team B. We are running the gamut here. You are in first place. I'm in last place. So we just have we're covering all the bases here. So we'll see how we can improve our teams from the bottom here. And we'll see if Bernie can hold on to the top spot going into week 2. All right, guys, it wasn't all good news here. We had a couple gooses this week. It's time to take a look at the updated Goose-O-meter.
I'm just goosing along.
All right, we had 2 gooses to start the season. Lionized due to injury. Xavier Worthy on Friday got him 0 points, while Always Right, Never Wrong was wrong when it came to picking defenses, as the Detroit defense got 0 points against the Green Bay Packers. All right, guys, strap in. It is now time for the first Mike Rant of the 2025 season.
Baby Rant. Karen Rant. Monty.
I don't care whose fault it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think.
Mike Rant.
Oh, we talked about it a little bit on the 2-point conversation. The rant for this week is the Miami Dolphins. That was a pathetic showing in game 1. All the talk in the offseason is Club Mike is closed. We're a tough-nosed physical team with accountability. I'm a mean coach. I'm even going to curse sometimes. I'm so angry is Mike McDaniel thinks he's going to be a tough. You aren't tough. You're becoming a joke. You get press conferences made fun of on our show, and we're pretty nice to people here, and you are becoming a joke. That game was a joke. Tua looked like he got concussed early because he was throwing to nobody. He was seeing ghosts, seeing double, and it was awful. The defense was awful. The offense was awful. You only got a late touchdown from Javon Achane, or it would have been a shutout. You guys were awful, an embarrassment to the entire state of Florida. You guys better nip it up. Or what's the word I want there? Shoot. Better fix it. Fix it. Miami Dolphins, you got one more week before we all slice off the bottom part of Florida, and you're going to be an island out to sea. All right, I know you got some thoughts here on the Miami Dolphins. What are you thinking about? That game was it was the worst game of the week. They were one of the 3 teams between the Giants, the Tennessee Titans, the Carolina Panthers, rather, and the Dolphins were the 3 worst offenses in week 1.
Yeah, all I have to say is we knew who they were.
They told us they were somebody else.
No, we knew it was coming in, and if you are shocked, then you weren't paying attention to the Miami Dolphins. There really are no words for it. Just fire sale, fire the coach, fire the general manager. Maybe the owner could sell the team, give refunds to season ticket holders. I don't know.
At least everyone should get a free hot dog next game or something. Come on.
No.
All right, guys. It is now time to get into some waiver wire targets as we head into week 2 and beyond. Bernie, why don't you start us off with some of your favorite quarterback waiver wire targets?
Waiver wire targets for the quarterbacks. Well, at the top of my list, and I think everybody knows who this is going to be, but that's Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. Now, I would put him at the top of this list because of his performance against the Dolphins, but I probably won't start him next week. It just seems like it's too risky. We want to see if this was just a fluke because it was the Dolphins' defense, and then we can kind of go from there. So keep him on your radar. He's got a dual threat upside in Vikings offense, so just kind of avoid week 2 with Denver coming in. Then I've got Joe Flacco and I've got Russell Wilson. Joe Flacco, proceed with caution. Russell Wilson, maybe avoid, maybe stash. What's the other guy's name?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart until break glass one emergency.
So yeah, I've got the same 3 guys, except I got Jackson Dart instead of Russell Wilson. And the way I broke it down was, if you need a starter this week, Joe Flacco's on top of this list because Daniel Jones is playing Denver this particular week. Daniel Jones probably has the best season outlook, as Joe Flacco may be replaced by a rookie going a little later in the year. So your short-term pickup here for a start is Joe Flacco. Daniel Jones is probably your best player to pick up, and Jackson Dart is your speculative pickup if you're already set at quarterback and just want to get ahead of the new hotness. So altogether, how would you rank these guys? You put Daniel Jones on top of your list without considering their opponents for this week?
Yeah, I would put Daniel Jones at the top because I think he's probably not going to lose his job more likely than the other guys.
Okay. All right, moving on to our running backs. Do you have any running backs on your list for pickups or waiver wire targets?
I really don't have any running backs targeted this week. Do you have any on your list?
I do. I was going through and I was pleased there weren't knock on wood here. I was pleased that there weren't any big time any injuries to running backs. So there's not the obvious guy to go pick up, which is good news. So we're going to do this a little bit based on who's out there in our league, but the first guy on this list is drafted by our league. So impressive by Lionize that in a 14-team league to have this guy already go. But Keenshawn Judkins is my season-long pickup, as he may play as early as week 2. I don't expect him until week 3, but he could be the bell cow anytime week 6 or later, in my opinion, as we saw that backfield. Dylan Sampson did pretty well, but he's a scat back, not a power runner. Jerome Ford looked lost. So Keenshawn Judkins has a chance to be the starting running back for the Browns anytime week 5 or later. So he's my season-long pickup. My one of my speculative pickups here is Bashul Tootin, running back out of Jacksonville. With the departure of Tank Bigsby, he slides right up into the number 2 slot here without too much competition. Etienne did look great. It was also against Carolina. We have to consider their opponents in his first weeks here, guys, and don't get too ahead of ourselves. But Tootin has now just jumped from the 3rd back to the 2nd back in Jacksonville, and he has a lot of buzz. So he's my speculative pick. And I've got a future flex here. Don't forget, Tajay Spears is still out there. He's on the IR. It wasn't a major injury. It was a high ankle sprain. They were just giving him plenty of time to heal up. So he's someone who could be flex worthy week 5 going forward, and one of the better handcuffs in terms of talent, not necessarily situation, as Tennessee is not a dominant offense. So I've got Keyshawn Judkins season long, Bashal Tootin speculative, and Tajay Spears as a future flex. What about if you had to rank those guys, help me out, who would be what type of player you're looking at here? Are you looking for a season long guy, a speculative, or a potential handcuff?
I think most of us were probably looking for handcuffs. Just like you said earlier, there wasn't a lot of battered running backs going on week 1.
All right. So what do you have for wide receiver targets for this week?
All right. So the strongest ad that I have right now is Quentin Johnson. He exploded with 5 catches, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's only really playing about 50% of the catch rate. So his fantasy value really remains touchdown dependent. But if you need some help, and there are some teams that need some wide receiver help because of the shoulder injuries, he's the way to go. In a little bit deeper dive, you got Calvin Austin III. He posted 4 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. So his speed creates a weekly big play potential there, though still touchdown dependent as well. Next, I've got Keyshawn Boutte.
Too much booty in the pants.
He's kind of a sleeper pick for me. He looks like May's going to be favorite target. He threw 46 times, and it was his top option over Stephon Diggs. So I think maybe a consecutive 100 game would probably be good. And then Trey Tucker,
Okay.
I would avoid Trey Tucker for now. The Raiders offense is struggling overall in week 1 against the Patriots. Maybe put in a 0 bid for him if you need some depth, but I wouldn't go crazy there for right now. And then a couple other names: Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant, Harold Fannin. If you need just receiving help and there aren't any receivers there, those tight ends could help their team get some catches and move some chains, get some yards.
All right. I got a couple guys here as well, or at least some extra guys. And I also want to not clarify, but categorize some of these guys, in my opinion, anyway. Obviously, you mentioned Kayshon Boutte. I think he's a pickup to I think he's someone you can pick up and start this week as they play against Miami, whose defensive backfield is in shambles. So I think he's someone, if you're in a pinch, you can actually pick up to start. Quentin Johnson. I've got Quentin Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins. Don't forget about Hopkins there. I have these guys as not guys you're looking to start any one week, but they're guys you can put in your flex any week. Like oh shoot, I need somebody. They're on the field. They're gonna play. They're random touchdown scores. They're not high volume guys. Quentin Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. But I think you're like, oh shoot, I need somebody. It's bye week or injury. I think you can play those guys any week, regardless of matchup. And then I've got, for my speculative ad here, I've got Io Manor from the Tennessee Titans. He didn't get a lot of work and a lot of targets, but he looked good out there in terms of his routes and his size-speed combination. So he's my speculative ad. You don't need to spend any money on this guy. You probably even wait a couple weeks and just watch. But if you just want to see someone maybe bloom there, put an early seed pickup of Io Manor here. And you mentioned some tight ends. I have one tight end that's kind of the top of the list here, and it's a little speculative, but he's going to get the work. Jake Tongas out of San Francisco. They're playing against New Orleans. Not a great defense, and with Kittle being out for the next 4 weeks, he might be thrust into a more substantial role for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, those all sound good.
When you're looking at these wide receivers, obviously depends on your team specifically. Are you looking for guys? Are you more in the not necessarily this player, but the style of player? Are you looking for the way down speculative guys? Are you looking for the random start whenever I need him? Or are you looking for the matchup guy like Kayshon Boutte for this week?
No, I play the matchup guy. I think with the 14-team league and how everyone had really drafted, there's not too many guys here that you're kind of like, I need to get and plug them in right away. So it would definitely be who they're playing. It would be a matchup dependent kind of pickup.
Which of those between Quentin Johnson and Boutte, for example, who would, if you were to pick one of these up, which guy are you looking at? Who tops that list for you? Is it Johnson?
Yeah, it'd probably be Quentin Johnson. I think he's got more of the upside. Boutte would be a close second.
Okay. All right. We had a lot of kicker movement this week with kickers being getting competition brought in. Some kickers getting waived outright here. Do you have any waiver wire targets on the kicker position?
Oh yeah, top priority ad is going to be Spencer Schrader. They host Denver, so solid home. So see continued production there. Joey Sly, he's there. It's unclear what his status is going to be right now. So it's a road game against the Chargers, so maybe limited opportunities there. Daniel Carlson, he's hosting the Chargers, so a good dome matchup there. So lots of field goal opportunities. And then Nick Folk, Will Rickard. Those would be the last two guys I'd have on my list.
I've got Josh Carty for the LA Rams as a potential guy, and there's one guy I don't know how to say his name. Where is he? He's low. For the New England Patriots, let me see his first name here. Sorry, Andy Borregales. I think he's a rookie kicker, or at least an unnamed kicker, but he's playing for New England here, and this is a matchup player. Again, they're playing against the Dolphins, and we saw what Schrader just did for the Colts against the Dolphins last week. So right now, until further notice, I am targeting offensive players against the Dolphins until we get some sort of resistance, and we'll see if that ever happens.
Yeah. And
All right.
the
Go ahead.
Dolphins don't really have a win coming up soon on their schedule.
They got a lot of division games too. If they don't win a game or two in their next 2 or 3, they're going to be well behind the 8 ball here. All right, moving on to some defensive targets here in terms of the waiver wire here. What are you looking at? Some defense we can pick up to help our teams.
The only one that I really have circled is the Cowboys defense. So I think they're going to have a little bit better game than they did. They held the Eagles to only 302 yards, and the Eagles is a high-powered offense. They had the 7th best pass rush, despite not having Michael Parsons. So I think it'll be a good matchup against the Giants.
I agree. I've got Dallas on the top of my list as well. I've also got the Rams against Tennessee, as Cam Ward got sacked 6 times last game. And again, Miami is just a target right now. I got the New England defense. If they're out there in your leagues, look for potentially to play the New England defense against Miami. All right, now it's easy to say let's pick these guys up, but we have to make a decision here. If we're going to pick them up, who are we going to drop? Let's see who's going to make the cut here. And please hold or time to go.
You've reached Wingman Fantasy Football. Please hold. Yeah, we're gonna have to let you go. So, just pack up your things and leave your key pass on the desk before you leave. Okay? Alright.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
All right, we've said before the top of our wide receiver waiver wire targets are we've got Keyshawn Butte and Quentin Johnson. You pick who you think might be on top of your particular list. But guys, you have to cut to get there potentially on your roster. Cooper Kupp. Do you think would you be willing to drop Cooper Kupp to take a pickup of those Quentin Johnson or Keyshawn Butte?
For Cooper Kupp, I think I would, but I don't know if I want to drop Cooper Kupp. That's a tough one, just because he's a known commodity. So that would really have to be that's the last guy on my bench. That's the worst player on my team to get rid of. So I would say yes if I needed to start somebody right away.
So that's close. I think that's close for me because I liked what I saw at Butte. Quentin Johnson, I think, is going to be a boomer bust kind of guy all year. So I don't think I wouldn't personally do it for Johnston, especially because he's one of 3 receivers. Well, I think Butte is one of 2 receivers in New England. So that's tough. I wouldn't spend any. That's tough. I wouldn't spend any money on those guys. I would put like a $0 bid, and if I got them, then I'd be willing to lose Kupp. I don't think I'd pay money and lose Kupp. I think that's like paying double the price. So being that we're kind of half and half, we're not sure. We're gonna hold on to Cooper Kupp a couple more weeks here before we make such a move. He's not quite an obvious drop compared to those receivers. All right, we're going to hold on to Cooper Kupp a little bit longer before we start shuffling our lineup here. Now we're going to a running back, a rookie who had some hype in the draft and didn't even get on the field, but for a couple snaps, Caleb Johnson was outsnapped by Kenneth Gainwell, had 50% of the snaps, and Jalen Warren had the rest. What would you, let's see, we had Keyshawn Junkins. He's the only one who's really worth here because he potentially can start because we have Tootin and Spears. Let's just draw the line at Judkins. Would you drop Caleb Johnson for Judkins? They're both rookies.
No. No,
I think I actually would go for the Browns running back. He's got a better pedigree. I think I'm willing. I think you have a chance to be very wrong in this one, but I don't think Johnson showed anything. And I feel like the arrow's pointing up in terms of Judkins. I'm actually willing to let go of Johnson for Judkins.
Oh wow!
It's time to go.
But that's a choose your adventure right there. All right, moving along here, we're staying with the Buttes and Johnstons. Would you be willing to drop Stephon Diggs to make such an acquisition?
No, I would not.
I agree with you. He is too much similar to Kupp, too much of a pedigree. You'd hate to cut bait too early. You might find out 3 weeks from now that you should have cut bait in week 1, but we have to know a little more information. All right, I got one more running back here. Again, we have Keyshawn Junkins here. Would you prefer to have Judkins or Najee Harris for the Chargers?
Judkins. Judkins.
Really?
I can't say his name.
Yeah, here it's hard to. They're not hard names by themselves, but putting them together makes them really hard to get those consonants out. That's interesting. I feel like I would hold Najee Harris more than Caleb Johnson, but being that I took the tiebreaker last time, all right, we have Judkins as a. We're willing to drop Caleb Johnson and Najee Harris to get the rookie out of Cleveland. Sorry, Najee Harris. One eye and all. It's time to go.
It's time to go!
All right, we got a quarterback here on the list. You had Daniel Jones in the top of your list. I had Joe Flacco for a this week's start. I don't disagree. Daniel Jones is a better 3 to 8 week player. Now the question comes. You need to play somebody. Are you willing to drop Tua Tagovailoa or Trevor Lawrence for your favorite quarterback, Flacco or Jones?
Am I starting? Tua, yes. Tua's dropped. Tua is dead to me.
Okay, fair enough.
If I have to start somebody in week 2, then no, I'm not dropping somebody for Daniel Jones if I have to start him.
Would you drop him for Flacco? If you're looking for this week, he's a this week matchup.
One, but probably not.
Okay. I'll let you the tiebreaker here because they're kind of even. So we say Tua Tagovailoa, you're dead to me. Tua Tagovailoa, it's time to go. Sugarcane, wrong button.
It's time to go!
And in terms of Trevor Lawrence, we're going to give you one more chance. All right, so now you know you got to put your. It's easy to say pick up this guy, but when you have to decide, is it worth dropping one of your other drafted players for these? It's a little tougher decision, and hopefully we helped you draw the line on some of those guys. All right, I want to thank all those people who joined us in our Wingman Jam competition. This was fun. First, so let's do a little recap of last week's scoring in terms of the Wingman Jam and which users picked which teams and players, and then we'll also look at the standings through week 1. Remember, these standings are running through the first 3 weeks. And the winner at 3 weeks will earn themselves a seat in the Showcase Showdown. So let's take a look at our Wingman Jam recap.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam with Bernie the Bounty Hunter and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka. Arizona Cardinals, Cincinnati Bengals. I thought I taught Putty Cat. I did. That score is more embarrassing than when your uncle started twerking at the family picnic. Mighty win. All right, Bernie, I beat you head-to-head, but we weren't the only ones playing. We had 3 other players in the Wingman Jam this week, starting off with Ken picked his pair of Bucks with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans getting 30.18 points as a combo. Followed along by the Baltimore Ravens, selected by Andrew. He went with Flowers and Lamar Jackson. They had a whopping 53.96 points. And our highest score of the week, Austin picked the Buffalo Bills with James Cook and Josh Allen coming in at 57.46 points. The standings after 1 week, Austin F at the top with 4 points. Andrew at the second with 3 points. I snuck in there with 2 points. And Ken and Bernie tied in 4th place with 1 point apiece. All right, nice job, guys. Thank you for playing. I appreciate that. Bernie, you got your participation point. Didn't get one of the top 3 finish points, but those Bengals really let you down. That was a really tough score from some big-time players.
Oh, yeah. Burrow and Chase, they definitely underperformed in week 1. This game script, week 1 rust, the defensive game plan for the Browns worked out good for them. Lots of factors there.
So thank you for everyone who joined in on this time. Remember, though, once you pick that team, you can't pick them again. So no Buffalo Bills can be picked for Austin. that anyone else can pick the Bills, but Austin's done with the Bills, as in Andrew's done with Baltimore, and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. We'll set up our next stack on the next show here. So join us again. Leave a comment in there so we know who you're picking, and we'll have timestamps so you guys can join us on the Wingman Jam, where there will be you can earn a seat in the first. You can earn a spot in the first seat of the Showcase Showdown, and we'll go from there. And then we'll have a heads-up battle in Week 7 between our 2 Showcase Showdown entrants there for a heads-up battle, 1-on-1 in week number 7 to earn yourself the Wingman Jam prize. Thank you for that. All right, guys, moving along to a little bit of a segment here. We're trying to broaden out our overall scope here. We are going to break down the Thursday night game a little bit with a little bit of a preview here. We've got the Washington Commanders heading over to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Both teams had dominating performances in terms of offense and especially the defense here. Which players? Let's start with the Commanders first. Let's kind of break this down in like automatic starts, maybe starts, and guys we want to avoid. And before we get there, though, with these defenses, how strong they showed, is this matchup by itself make you worried to play some of the star players for either team?
No, I don't think so. Week 2, we kind of know who these guys are going to be here, so I think the starts are pretty obvious.
All right, let's start with the Commanders here. Jaden Daniels, auto start. We have to agree on that one, right?
Correct.
All right, who else is on that team that we're thinking about here? We got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and we have Austin Eckler, who is dealing with, I think, a veteran injury, not a real injury. So we got the running backs there, and we saw what Green Bay did. We saw what Green Bay did to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I personally would look to find other running backs to play and avoid that the Commander backfield.
Yeah, probably. But if you're stuck playing with them, Krosky Merritt is a good start there.
What about the receivers here? Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. Oops.
Who? Deebo.
I would go ahead and start Deebo.
You start Deebo? I'm actually a little nervous there because I saw what they did because I kind of consider Deebo kind of like a Jahmyr Gibbs, the short passing game and the end arounds, if you will. Deebo was my best receiver last week, but I'm gonna be looking at options potentially to maybe get him out of the lineup. I'm not sure yet. It's not an auto start for me right now, even though he was played great last week. I am a little afraid of these defenses, to be honest with you. But Terry McLaurin, you think he's an auto sit this week?
No, I think it would depend on who else you got going on your team. Again, the week 1 is week 1. You can't take too much stock in some of the duds that happened in week 1 unless it was like an injury.
All right.
Or Miami Dolphins.
So I've got both the Washington defense on my roster and the kicker, Matt Gay. Matt Gay only had 3 extra points as they botched a end of first half field goal attempt with a penalty on Jaden Daniels. So he was the worst kicker in the league this past week. And again, with the defenses, I don't want to drop defenses and kickers here, but I don't want to play them either. And they're taking up roster spots. I'm thinking I might be looking on the waiver wire for some defenses and or kickers because I kind of don't want to play the ancillary pieces in this Thursday night game. What do you think about those special teamers when it comes to this game for the Commanders?
Yeah, I like the Commanders defense. I don't know if I'd like them to score 15 points, but they're definitely going to get in between that 5 to 10 point mark.
All right. Let's move it along here over to the Green Bay side. We got Jordan Love, who I thought played very well. The first half, he was throwing the ball around, and once they got the lead, it was Josh Jacobs' time. It was kind of a tale of two halves in terms of the game plan there. I thought he looked good, but he's definitely just in terms of general, not necessarily this game, he is not an auto start. He's like a 9th to 14th rated quarterback, depending on how much you like him. So obviously depends on who you have on your team. Is this a matchup where you're trying to get him in, or you're trying to look for other options?
No, I'm looking for other options. I would start him if he's my starter, but I am not 100% confident with him getting as good of the game in as he did last week.
Well, I might ask you it this way then. Obviously, you're not going to drop him for any of the free waiver wire targets we mentioned, but being that Baltimore just gave a ton of points to Josh Allen, I know a different type of quarterback, would you be more willing to start Joe Flacco on a Sunday game or Jordan Love on this Thursday game?
Probably Jordan Love.
I think I might gamble and go with the old vet and play Flacco if I was in the pinch. I don't like Thursday games, and unless it's like I'm like, yeah, this guy's awesome, no doubt about it. I'm looking to find other options if I can find them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well go ahead and start Daniel Jones in. At least Daniel Jones can rush for a touchdown.
They're playing Denver, though. I don't want any piece of that.
I know, but if you're going to start Joe Flacco over Jordan Love, you got better ceiling with Daniel Jones.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We know how much you love Daniel Jones. I'm not going to fight you on this one. All right. All right. Moving to the backfield here. Josh Jacobs is a slam start no matter how you do it, no matter what the matchup is. He might have a little variation in terms of his ceiling or floor depending on the matchup, but you're never looking to take him out of your lineup. He's no Kenneth Walker.
Exactly.
All right. Moving to the wide receivers here. With the extension to Christian Watson, looks like he'll be back on the field sooner than later. He missed last week, right, with the injury? Or he's on the IR, I think. So they signed him to an extension while he's hurt. Interesting. We had Jaden Reed, who looked fast. I don't know his snap count. He is dealing with that injury. And we had Romeo Doubs, who just does what he does, kind of ho-hum steady. And the rookie had a tough go here. Are you looking to play any of these receivers as they're all kind of a part of an overall wide receiver core? Or, again, are you looking for other options out there?
Yeah, no, I'm not playing any of the Green Bay receivers.
And what about their kickers? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. The kicker?
I was just going to move on to kicker or defense if you're willing to play those guys in this matchup.
Yeah, I would play Green Bay's defense, but I think Washington's defense might actually outscore Green Bay's defense in this matchup.
That's my problem. I've got both the Washington and Green Bay defense, and I don't want to play. I think both offenses are good enough that it's not an easy start for the defense, and I'm not going to drop Green Bay's defense. So I feel like I have to drop Washington, even though I don't want to look for other options because I think Jaden Daniels is too good, and he's hard to get sacks. He runs around, he gets away from people. I don't see I mean, who knows what can happen? Anything can happen, obviously, but I don't like. It's not like you're going against Russell Wilson or Tua, someone who's going to run around and make a big mistake. Or, someone like that. So I'm kind of looking to avoid these defenses even because the offenses are so good.
No, if you've got both of these defenses, Washington, in my opinion, is the one to start. Dan Quinn's defense is going to be a little bit better, even with Michael on the other side.
I'll have to think about that. You're making me think here. All right, now let's get into the actual overall game. Who do you think is going to win this game? Green Bay is at home. Both teams have made the playoffs last year, and both teams are very good, very good.
Well, I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. Maybe a 28-24, maybe 24-21, and I'm going to give it to the Commanders in an upset.
Oh, I like it. I don't know if I'd pick that, but I like the moxie there. That's about the score I'm thinking of as well. 4 to 5 scores apiece, depending on how they mix in field goals to touchdowns. So I have it right there. I think I'm going to go with the home team here just because they're at home. I'll give them that 3 points there. I don't know who the favorite is. Probably Green Bay by 3.5 or 4 points. I'm just going to guess that. But, yeah, this should be a good Thursday night game. We generally don't like Thursday night games, but the earlier they are in the year, the less they are affecting these guys. They're not worn down quite yet. So we'll see. I think this should be a pretty good game, a pretty fun game between two teams that made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, for sure. This will be a good division game here, and then I'll get something going here.
All right, guys. All right, you heard it here. We are winding down here, and we didn't get a chance to do it last show, and I got a couple minutes, so I am going to throw out a tip and trick. I hope this is the right button. Yes.
Tips and tricks.
Or quirks for jerks.
All right, this one I'm more familiar with the Yahoo settings here. So other leagues might do the same. I'm kind of gathering they are based on just what I hear from other shows. So in terms of your IR spot, we've mentioned this in years past. When you have a player with that O designation, it's so nice when they get that O designation by Thursday or Friday. You can throw them into your IR and get an extra spot. Keep in mind, though, guys, as long as they have an O next to their name while they're in the IR, you can make whatever move you want in terms of pickups or drops for your roster, in terms of waiver wire pickups. But if they're in your IR spot, once that O designation gets taken away, you are locked. You can change your lineup, but you can't change your roster. So keep in mind, if you have a guy in the IR position with an O, Make your moves while he's an O. You can always cancel him later, but you can't add him into your pickups once he's no longer has an O next to a name. So be proactive. Make some picks that you can amend or cancel as opposed to not making those moves at all, because now you have to drop 2 players to pick up 1, while if you get a little out ahead of it, you can drop 1 for 1. So who's in your IR spot right now? Do you have someone with an O designation? Now you have Kittle, right?
Yeah, Kittle. Well, hopefully he's good to go after his comes back, and I don't really have anybody I'm eyeing to fill that extra spot, so it'll be easy drop.
So I was looking at your roster with Kittle out for now 4 weeks and Rashee Rice out for 5 more weeks. If you want to make a trade, man, I'm willing to take a guy who's dead weight for a few weeks if you need someone on your roster who's going to play.
What?
Maybe a Kelsey for Kittle trade or something like that. What do you think?
No.
All right. Well, think about other guys. Maybe not him specifically, but something like that. Anyway, we'll talk about it later. But I'm saying you the problem with you having Rashee Rice on the suspension, you lost a spot. You were willing to take it, but now you're getting some guys hurt. So now you have to like maybe make some moves.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm thinking that Deontay Thornton Jr. here is going to come alive soon.
Okay. All right. I like it. All right, guys. Thank you for watching and or listening to another episode of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and the Odyssey app. If you could please rate us on whatever platform you can find us on here. The higher the rating, the better, of course. Leave a comment in there as well. If you want to see these beautiful faces, see our graphics, see our Wingman Jam, all the other graphics we have here, go ahead and go to our YouTube page at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you head over there, guys, do me the favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment and get us into our next mailbag segment. Oh, I forgot one more thing. We want to start doing more previews of these games, these in terms of the NFL instead of just our fantasy league. But we don't have time to go through all the games. So if you can leave a comment on the game you want us to go over the most, top 3 will get on the cut here, and we will break down 3 NFL games in terms of fantasy and or the NFL game itself. So get in those comments there. Tell us which game you want us to go over on our next show. With that being said, guys, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty,
and put some ice on your shoulder now because it might get hurt later.
And your toes. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.